All right, welcome back to the Building Your Life podcast. My name is Doug Sandler, along with the host of the show, the real guy, the guy behind all of the magic. You know, he's like the wizard. He's the guy behind the curtain. You should see him in Oz, and he is definitely not a horse of a different color or an Oompa Loompa, but he is John Browning. John, welcome to the podcast.
All right, good to be back. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to be here. Good to be sharing more information. The last couple of episodes have been very exciting for me because I found like I was right in the hunt as you were sharing these topics. I'm like, he's talking to me. So if you're one of those people that's out there and John is talking to you, at the end of the episode, we'll share more information about how to get in touch with John so that you can be wealthy beyond your imagination when it comes to wisdom and knowledge, just like John. So it's an interesting topic we're going to talk about today, John. So maybe you can set it up for us, and we'll have a conversation about it.
Well, I thought I'd tell a little bit of a story, if that's okay.
Yeah, totally. Do
All
it.
right, we tell a story.
Yeah,
So
I like that.
this is an actual, no names, but this is an actual client that is very recent. Just spoke with them over the past month or so, and reached out, said, we think we may need some financial planning as a family. And I was like, oh, this is great. We're already getting the family involved because I think that's very important. We talked about that a little bit on the last podcast episode we did. But I said, well, great, let's chat. And we had a very quick, it was a 15-minute meeting just to start to see if it made any sense at all. And I could tell right away that the kids were actually more concerned than mom and dad were, and what it was is that they're in the sandwich generation, right?
Yep.
They're talking about having kids, getting married, and all this other stuff, and mom and dad are getting older, and at some point they'll need long-term care and whatever. So it's like you've got to take care of your family, and you also have to take care of mom and dad, make sure they're okay as well.
Yep.
And so then I actually went over to their house. We had a great conversation, just sort of going through everything. Well, it turns out they thought they had done a great job of planning, right? A couple things. So they bought into the idea that I need to take Social Security right away. So the dad, the patriarch, had started taking Social Security even though he was still working and very healthy. And mom is not old enough to take Social Security yet. And so they're right away where I was like, well, we can, and people think once you make a decision on Social Security, you can't change that decision. So that's not true. You can change that decision. Okay. You got to do it in a certain way within the rules, but you can do it. So we're going to fix that, right? Because if he's taking Social Security while he's working, he's paying 85% of his Social Security is being taxed at his tax bracket, which in this case is around in the 20s. So he's just not getting the benefit of it, and he could get more benefit by deferring it. And again, he's quite healthy. So that was just one thing, right? The other thing was maxing out a 401k over and above the company match. So we talked about how could we make some of that tax-free income. Another thing we talked about 2 episodes back.
A couple weeks.
Yes. And so as we talked more about that, and since he's of an age where we don't even have to worry about some of the more complex tax rules, he's 59 and a half. So the idea of taking a distribution, rolling that into a tax-free asset that will be tax-free in retirement, we're going to start doing that. Right. So we're making all these adjustments. And then when we really started talking about it, they're concerned, right? Because they don't feel like they have enough to retire. They don't have a lot in, say, 401k assets. They don't have a lot in retirement fund assets, but they have a business. We started calculating everything. We found out that although they're not necessarily living like it, they have multiple millions in net worth. It's fantastic, right? But here's the thing that I think so many people get a little bit wrong, right? You cannot spend a business. You might be able to take some cash flow, right? But you can't spend it until you sell it. Do you want to sell it? What kind of tax implications would that bring? Is it protected in a trust? There was no estate plan at all. That was actually the first thing we did before we did anything or talked about anything in terms of financial planning. Let's get an estate plan here because we have a lot to protect on the legal side of things, on the tax side of things, future planning for family. Another thing that could happen, they go to sell this business when mom and dad pass away. Suddenly they have this huge estate tax bill and everything's tied up in probate. They don't even have the money because they can't sell the business yet to pay the tax bill, and the family literally goes bankrupt. I've seen this happen.
Let me ask this before you continue, because I think this is the thing that really is curious to me is when they came to you and sat down with you to begin with, did they have any level of awareness of what they had and did? Now I know that they own a business and they know they have these assets and maybe, commercial property and some other things that are out there. They probably knew that there was a little pinch if it came to cash flow when it came to retirement. But what did they feel like they were stepping into when they had that initial conversation with you?
I I think there was an awareness, right? That's why they reached out. There was an awareness that maybe there is something that we should do, but I don't think there was any kind of a concept of how much they could do. And that's where I want to put this in a positive context, right? It's not that what they did was bad or they're bad people or anything else, but you could do so much better. We're not talking like multiples of maybe 2 times better. We're talking 10x,
Wow.
as Grant Cardone would say, right? We're talking 10x better than what your current plan is, which was really no plan, right?
Got it. Okay.
So
So
that's kind of where I think they were.
all right, all right, I got that, and I understand their. I don't want to call it ignorance; it's more like naivete. They just didn't know what they didn't know, and I think that that's the biggest challenge with so many people out there. As they, you don't even have to be approaching retirement. You could be. I think you said they were in their late 50s at this point.
Yeah, well, oh, yeah, dad is in his 60s. Mom just turned, recently
Okay,
turned 60. Yeah.
all right. So they're on the cusp of it, which might have been the spark that ignited this curiosity to have the conversation further. Is there ever a too early to have this conversation with you? And what point is that conversation too late? The one that you just kind of had with them just now.
Well, it's too late when mom or dad pass away,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And
true.
which on I-95 here in Florida, that could happen at any moment. The way people drive down here.
Right, true.
So I mean, then it's really too late. But the earlier the better. And frankly, I run into so many younger people that say, "Well, I don't have an estate, so I don't need to do estate planning." I'm guessing you actually have more of an estate than you realize.
Right,
And
right,
the whole idea of having, you're in an accident, it happens, right? Or you have some sort of life event and you don't have an estate plan in place. You decided not to get that insurance that you needed. You thought it was a waste of money. You thought it
right.
was too expensive or whatever. It's too late then. Right. When something like, and you don't know, I've had events in my life that have happened that, man, we did not expect as a family. And they were tough times. And man, that little bit in insurance that we paid, we're really glad we had it.
Right.
However much we want to complain about it. And I'm not an insurance guy, you know that. I mean, I can help you with your insurance and make sure you're not overinsured, but also not underinsured. So that's one thing. And the whole trust and estate thing is another thing. And paying too much in taxes, people do that every day. It's estimated by, not by me, by the way, but by the IRS, that the majority of taxpayers overpay on their taxes.
That is incredible. And you'd think that it would be just the opposite, that everybody is taking too much advantage of that gray area and they're getting a little bit into the not legal side of things. But it is amazing that most people are overpaying in their taxes. And all they would need to do really is just have a conversation with somebody like you at Guardian Rock Wealth. It just seems to be the next logical step if you are out there and you have any questions about this stuff. Look, John's setting up a free meeting for you to get together, have a brief conversation, and see if it makes sense to take the next step with him and his team. Can you before you share how you get in touch with everybody? can you maybe just take a moment and talk about, we did this maybe a month or so ago, just talk about the team approach that you and your group over at Guardian Rock Wealth take to helping people get the best advice that they can to build their best life.
Yeah, that's really important. I mean, you see me on the podcast if you're watching on YouTube, or you hear me over the airwaves, whatever. And I talk a lot, and I'm very involved with every client that we take on, and I don't necessarily want that to ever change, which is why we may stay a little smaller, and that's okay. But we put a team around you. I am not the insurance expert. I'm not the tax expert. I'm not the legal expert.
Mm-hmm.
But I have spent a great deal of time in each one of those areas, and I put somebody that I know and trust in your corner and build a team around you, your personal board of directors, that makes sure your whole financial plan is taken care of. And that could be anything, again, from the insurance, tax, and estate planning side to maybe it's what kind of debt do you have, and managing that debt. Maybe it's you need a mortgage. We have mortgage people that will help you with that. Do you want to refinance that mortgage? Do you want to self-insure that house if you're in Florida and your insurance rates have gone up by 50% this past year?
Mm-hmm.
We can mesh all that together because we're all there, and we all each have our level of expertise, and I'm simply the quarterback. My main job is the money management side. I was a portfolio manager for 30 years on Wall Street. I help you with your actual investments and putting that together. And then I bring all the people that support that to your own personal board of directors.
Great.
And that's how we work.
Great. I appreciate you sharing that. I know we did that about a month or so ago on the show, but I think that team approach is a real good thing to explain so people understand that I've seen John throw a ball. He's a good quarterback. He's a guy that you want on your team. Hey, John, how can our listeners get in touch with you if they want more information about how you can help them build their best life?
Probably the easiest way is to go to Guardian Rock Wealth with a TH, guardianrockwealth.com, in the contact us section. It's also all sorts of information there. You can find out about me before you set up a 15-minute meeting. The other way is take out your phone, type in 321-421-5213. Text the word life to that number. You will get a link to my digital business card, and you can click on various links and get all kinds of information. There's a little video that'll play there as well about the book Build a Life, Not a Portfolio. And then down to the lower right-hand corner, there's a spot where you can schedule a meeting directly with me, say 15 minutes out of your life, to find out if there's really anything there that I can help you with. Right. But I bet you'll come away with something of value for that 15-minute investment.
I know, and if nothing more than a signed football, then it's the quarterback of the team.
Well, I'll sign a book and send it to you. How about that?
All right, I think it sounds like a great idea. John, thanks for sharing today. For all of those in our listening community, thanks for tuning in. Another episode. See you again, John.
All right, we'll see you.